next step is, now I'd like to share a quick story if I can.
Sure.
Okay, so
it's your show. You can do.
But it's important because this quick
Right.
story leads us into the next steps that's going to help protect our WordPress sites. So what happens is, I'm a HostGator business plan user, so they're my hosting company. Hosting companies are broke down into the type of services they provide. Most of us use what's called shared hosting. So that means we share resources and memory allocation between other customers on the same server, and it makes it more affordable for us. With that said, I get an email from HostGator saying your account has been temporarily suspended. I'm like, what?
When did this happen, Mark?
This happened the day I got, well, 2 days before I got hacked, but it happened actually more than that. It happened 3 times. So the first one, I just didn't know what it was, so they sent me a lot of an email with all the instructions saying you might want to check your database sizes, and I'm like, wait a minute, I have a fairly popular site, but I shouldn't be having that much of a memory spike. So I logged into my cPanel, which most of us have a cPanel in shared hosting, and I started monitoring traffic, and I noticed these massive spikes. I mean, way up. So real quick, this is what HostGator does. They say if you could use up to 25% of the memory allocation for 90 seconds, if you go above that, you're considered a resource hog, and they have to basically, contractually, they have to suspend your account. That's how I found out that I was being hacked. Now let me explain what a DOS is. That's called a denial of service. What I found out as I started monitoring this excessive use is I was being hit with a DOS attack on a regular basis. Now, for those who've never been through a denial of service, let me explain real briefly, James, what that is. The hacker doesn't have to initially log into your account to jack you up. I mean, what they want to do is make your site inaccessible by your customers, so it costs you money. They want to make sure they get your account suspended, and the quickest and easiest way to do that is to flood a ton of traffic, or what's called a bot. So they flood your login page with tons of different login names that's not even part of your system, and why they do this is because they want to overload your server, and sure enough, it worked. They suspended my account. Now, I jumped on it right away because I've been developing my membership site for almost a year, and of course now I can restore my site, but I'll explain a second part of the story. So this is what alerted me, James, to there was a problem. Now,
so you saw the spike, and was this before you were denied service, or after denial, or somewhere in between?
It was before. But what it is that they'll continue doing it every day at peak load times. Now they're going to do it, say 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, when everybody's getting off work or whatever, or they're checking their bank accounts. They know what time. So I noticed that they flooded me right at peak resource times, purposely to shut down my site or suspend it. Now, let's say you have a membership site like you're planning to develop, and I have one. I'm sure a lot of our other solo and entrepreneurs out there have them as well. You're losing money every time that site's down. Well, I don't care if it's a day or 10 minutes. You just lost the sale. Guess what? That's what they want. So with a denial of service, this happened to me on December 3rd. I launched into the defense mode. I knew a little bit about security, but I really dug in. I got into the techie stuff. But what I'm doing today is just sharing what you can do to stop a DOS attack. So with that said, what plugin, or what can I do, or what can we do as a small business, because we're busy working on other things, but you have to allocate resources and time to protect the #1 resource as we use our membership sites. You want to make sure there's a small plugin, and again, it's free. Now, we'll talk about plugins on other shows, because if you get too many plugins, you're going to load down the performance, and we're going to deal with performance issues later. Okay, so here's your next. What you can do right now is, if you do not have one, you want to stop a DOS or denial of service attack on your site. You want to load up what's called, it's basically a small plugin that's going to limit the amount of logins into your site. Now, The reason why this is so important, the name of it is Simple Login Lockdown or Limited Login Attempts. One of those two will get you, just go to wordpress.org, go into the plugins section, and find one of those two. They're really simple to set up, and I'll explain how these simple little programs can protect you from a denial of service attack like what's happened to me. So, and
well, hey, Mark, well, also, because it's limited login, it'll also help prevent people from actually finding your login and getting in as well, right?
well, they'll still be able to find the login page. Okay, you can even hide that, but that's another subject. For now, they'll still see it. But what happens is it limits how many times they can hit your site. The default setting is 10. Now remember, if they're flooding your site over about a 15-minute period, that's where the spikes come in. Okay, so the idea with this limited login plugin, it's going to actually lock that IP address out and that person from coming back, and you can, for a duration of maybe a day, 12 hours, whatever you set inside the configuration settings, and I can help you with that if anybody needs help configuring that. It's quite easy, but sometimes it gets a little confusing. So it locks them out. Now you just stopped a DOS attack on your site. Now, the reason why this is important is because currently the newest version of WordPress does not have this option built into it yet. And because it does not have it built in, we need to make sure we load up this type of small plugin, a very powerful tool against a DOS attack on your WordPress site.
So I have a question though. If somebody were actually trying to hack into your WordPress account, they would try and use some sort of bot or something to guess your password, right? To guess your login and password.
Yes, absolutely.
The fact that you have a limited ability to do that also could potentially prevent somebody from getting your password and hacking into the site as well, right?
That's right, James. That's exactly what we're after. Now, don't worry if even if it malfunctioned. I thought about, hey, what if I got locked out of my own site? If there's a way around that, and I'll explain that to those who would like to know. But you know, the hacker can't get into it. But basically, there's a back way you do it. Now, it's a powerful, small little tool.